Maybe I could share light on a situation if that person acts a little odd. At least we know that that person owns a gun and we could let someone else know.
Welcome back. It's a controversy that hits a Bill of Rights trifecta. You got free speech, gun rights, and the right to privacy. And it's put a local newspaper at the center of national outrage. Now, on Monday, the Journal News, and the Journal News is a paper that covers New York's Hudson Valley. In fact, it was a newspaper we had a longtime partnership with here at the station. They published a feature called The Gun Owner Next Door, What You Don't Know About the Weapons in Your Neighborhood. Now, the paper, it gave the location, the name, and the address of every registered legal handgun owner. This is a map for Westchester County. A dot that you see there, and it looks like a big blob. Well, those are individual dots marking the home of every registered gun owner. And here's the same map for neighboring Rockland County. It's almost impossible to see the towns with so many dots. Now, as soon as the piece was published on the paper's website, LOHUD.com, their comment section exploded with reaction. Comments number in the thousands, in fact, now more than tens of thousands. So I'm going to give you just a few of the highlights here. This from Pamela Thomas Hickey. She said, clean up your hardware, stock up on ammo. It may turn out to be handy. Just sit there and wait for the libs to show up, like shooting fish in a barrel. Yes, going to the less disturbed, but nonetheless angry here. Curtis writes, this is crazy. Why in the world would you post every licensed gun owner's information? What do you hope to accomplish by doing this? This is the type of thing you do for sex offenders, not law-abiding gun owners. What's next? Should I hang a flag out the side of my house that says, I want a gun? I am canceling my subscription to your paper today. And Paul Fries wrote, this was done to harm legal gun owners, to make the pariahs, but in truth, all it does is let criminals know where not to hit. It harms unarmed people. The paper is complicit in creating victims. And the reaction has gone beyond the internet. In an interview with CNN, Jonathan Lowy, a spokesperson for the Pro-Gun Control Brady Center, again, the Brady Center Pro-Gun Control, they slammed the paper's decision to publish the map.
I don't think they should have. I think this shows a lack of judgment by the newspaper, and I think that we should not be stigmatizing every law-abiding gun owner out there.
Now, we have repeatedly asked the Journal News to comment on the story, and they haven't returned any of our requests. The paper has released a statement this week defending their decision, saying, quote, we felt sharing information about gun permits in our area was important in the aftermath of the Newtown shootings. The statement went on to say that the report could have gone even further, and they wanted to, quote, we were surprised when we weren't able to obtain information on what kinds and how many weapons people in our market own. Question is, was this the best way to continue the much-needed dialogue when it comes to gun control? To that end, some gun rights advocates, they are fighting back. Conservative New York bloggers posted the address and photo of the home of Dwight Worley. He's the Journal News reporter who wrote the piece. Blogger claims that he's just giving the paper a taste of their own medicine. Now, as soon as we posted our questions from you at home tonight on our Facebook page, the responses started flooding in, clearly something sparking a debate in our region and even beyond the tri-state area. We're going to bring you into the conversation in a moment. You see at the bottom of your screen that toll-free number. Get on the phone lines if you haven't already. What do you think about the decision the Journal News did regarding this gun map? All right, let me bring the table back in. And Basil, you weren't here last night. We had this conversation. I'm curious your perspective on it.
Well, first thing, I don't know if when you sign up for a gun permit that you are agreeing to have your information public. You may be able to, I'm wondering if you're saying, yes, I'll make it available for law enforcement, but are you making it available for the general public? I know they use the Freedom of Information Law to obtain this information, but even the Department of Education doesn't publish the name of parents in the system. So to me, I understand why they would do this, but I think you could have made the point without publishing or giving people access to actual people's names and address, because the dots themselves actually tell a very compelling story. And I would also add, in their statement, they use the term market, which to me just sent this message to me that this is commercial, this is commerce, this is about
Selling
who's
newspapers.
selling newspapers, more so perhaps than actually telling a really compelling story about the number of guns in our area. And so I actually thought that was interesting. But I think it's a compelling story when you just look at the dots. I think it's an overreach.
You know, Andrew, I will
the
say, for
information.
all of the outrage, and I will say the opposition to this is run in an unscientific way, 100 to 1, maybe even more than that. Maybe I'm charitable with that ratio. It could be 200 to 1 or whatever else. People have acknowledged they have gone to this map to find out which of their neighbors do have guns. What do you think? I know last night you didn't have a problem with the paper's decision. Did you change your mind at all?
And I still don't. I mean, to Basil's point, that the dots are the effective story here. It's not the number in aggregate doesn't have as much impact, but also if without the names and the addresses, it's just dots on a map, and who's to say that they're accurate or who's to say that that information is correct. So if they're going to tell the story with the dots on the map, I think you have to include the names and you have to include the addresses. And frankly, it's a public permit. You're applying in a public document.
I hear you, but Dominic, when people did get that permit, whether there was a legal or at least an expectation of privacy, nobody thought when they bought a gun and they got the legal permit and everything else that their name was going to be in the paper. And we all know the stigmatization of having your name in the paper.
Is
like
that really going to stop people from buying guns if they find out that their information is going to be public somewhere? People are going to, because somebody who would otherwise be inclined to buy one won't?
If they know that there are going to be people protesting in front of their house, absolutely.
But
if they know that they're going to be stigmatized and get hate mail, absolutely.
There's no indication that that's happened.
But it's possible.
It's 2 days.
It's possible.
I just don't understand how we make that jump that there may be a protest in front of your house. Again, and Andrew and I agree on this one issue. These are public records. You don't get to choose what's amongst the public documents, which ones a newspaper can print.
Forget the
and which
legality
ones,
of it, because you're right.
Okay.
The spirit of it, do you agree with what they did?
I understand that gun owners want the privacy, but I really don't understand what's the big deal. I really don't get it. What are you hiding? What's the big deal?
When we come back, we're going to see if you agree. Do you think this is a big deal one way or the other? Do you think that this is going to certainly bring up this conversation? I know a lot of parents have said they're finding out which families do and don't have, and it could affect if they're going to let the kids play at the house. On the converse side, somebody said, what did I do that was wrong? I'm following the law, and yet I'm looking like I'm on a screen like I'm a child sex offender here. What do you think? Toll-free numbers on the screen. We'll get to more of your online comments and your phone calls. We head to those calls right after this.